Hello everyone and welcome to episode 4, the deployment episode. Because why not? The episode that some will skip and some really enjoy. Right, so to begin, I could just use elite replacements for everything. That would not be a problem at all because I'm frankly drowning in prestige already. 4,733 prestige. Oh, excuse me. But that doesn't mean that we want to waste money. So one thing I would say is, more often than not, artillery is very expensive to replace. And it gains experience very rapidly, so long as you protect it. I've been given another one here. Wait a minute, these are my 3. Why has this one got 0 experience? Does it really not actually do any fighting at all? Oh no, it has 134, it's just not showing me for some reason. Okay, so I recommend just using green replacements for artillery if that won't result in the destruction of too much EXP. I think in this case it would, so I'm gonna use elite for that. So you see, it's the same cost. No, it's not. Yeah, it's a huge cost difference. What am I talking about? Between the two here. Thanks to all the damage it took. There are 15 to 17 missions in the Spanish campaign, which means that in order to hit 2 stars, you need to earn about 100 EXP a mission, say to 150. It's times like this that I actually wish that there was partial experience. I think I'm not going to bother elite replacing that one because it's once again, the support units gain experience pretty easily. And I'm going to waste 100 prestige. For fighters it's easy, they're so cheap that it's like, who cares? Same with tacticals. I don't know if the recon has actually gained much experience. Oh, you know, it actually has. They changed the way recon planes work so that as long as you're actually revealing tiles with them and if you float them above enemies and attack them, they gain EXP. So it's not like in the past where they would never ever gain any EXP. Okay, I wouldn't say it's too expensive to fix that. Wow, this boy gained a lot of experience points. But it's very cheap to reinforce, so it's whatever. You know, it's 50 points here, it's 50 points there, it's not worth... Well, it's worth thinking about, basically. It's worth, you know, making the effort to actually go through each one individually and decide. Okay, so where to begin with our deployment? First things first, let's see what prototypes we got and what captures we made. So we can have a quick think about what it is that we actually want to deploy. So, as you can see here, this tank that you start with, the 1A, is just awful. It does have rapid fire and 8 anti-infantry attack, and that's not bad. But at 10 ground defense, that's really poor for a tank. It's basically made of tissue paper, and with 5 anti-tank capability, it cannot hurt other armor. So we have an obvious upgrade here in the T-26. It has double the infantry attack. So even though it doesn't have rapid fire, it's likely to be better. And with 13 anti-tank, it is nearly 3 times stronger against tanks. It also has vastly superior initiative and 2 more ground defense, so it's better in literally every way, though it does require an extra slot. Then we also have the BT-5, which is not as good, but is still arguably superior to the 1A. Well, not even arguably. I'm pretty sure that it is, despite the rapid fire bonus. I think it is. So the main issue is I've only got 10 of these, so I got no reinforcements for them yet. If I had 12, if I'd have captured it a little bit better and I had 12, this would be an easy deployment. But I've got 18 of these, so we definitely want to deploy this. Okay, we have a number of captured recon cars, and they are garbage. Cheap, but garbage. And not even cheap, because core slots wise, they still cost 2 core slots, so it's like kind of, you know, why even bother? Okay, this Panzer 1 Breda is, I believe, our prototype. It is our prototype, because it says prototypes. So, you know, frankly, it's just an inferior anti-tank gun, but it does have rapid fire. So there, you know, it has some power. The only issue is that it costs 2 slots and this costs 1. So if you really desperately needed anti-tank guns, and I'm not sure why you would, you are gonna probably be better off taking 2 of these. We also captured some of the Spanish variant, which is just directly inferior because it has 1 less ammo. But it's otherwise identical. So I can't see myself deploying these, but it's something to think about. Next, we have the mighty 75mm anti-aircraft gun, which... So, I mean, if you compare it to the... So, these serve slightly different purposes. This one has actually got rapid fire and low altitude attack, which makes it much more vicious against fighters and tacticals. And this one does not. And neither does this one. So these ones are better against strat. But this, you know, this obviously it costs twice as much, but it has huge range. Or at least compared to these guys. No, it doesn't. It has the same range. Huh. Normally these have got 3. Okay, well that's interesting. Well, it doesn't change the fact that it has viciously nasty anti-air capability at 22 damage per hit. But it doesn't have that extra range, which is what would really add to it. Although, we can get a mechanized transport for it. And not only can we get a mechanized transport for it, but when converted to anti-tank mode, this will be a very vicious anti-tank gun. Like, the most vicious that I can deploy. By miles. Like, forget the anti-tank category. This thing in anti-tank mode will be the anti-tank gun. And I actually lost an anti-tank gun, so this would be a good pickup for anti-tank duty. In addition to, you know, being an anti-aircraft gun, so you've got flexibility. Right, I think I definitely will purchase this. Because I can't actually mechanize these at the moment. I can't mechanize my own stuff. Right. We got 6 spares, so that's pretty cool. Okay, in terms of artillery, we found a load of 203, which is nice. But we can't deploy it because it's too expensive, slot-wise. Without a reduced slot hero, either a half slots or a 0 slots hero, we just can't afford to deploy this because we don't have enough core slots for it right now. It can't fit in as part of a healthy, balanced army because of that extreme core slot cost. Which is a shame because we can mechanize it. And there's certainly no harm in purchasing it and putting it to one side. Because I'm not going to upgrade any of my 10cm guns to this, because then I would lose them forever, since I have denied artillery on. And then we also have a number of 70mm lying around. These are, you know, they're just kind of whatever. But they're very inexpensive to deploy for artillery anyway. My biggest problem with them is, you know, with 2 range and not fantastic stats. They're not exactly, like, gonna set the world on fire or anything, but they can be useful. Right, and nothing's changed on the air front. Okay, so we've considered our purchases. We bought the anti-aircraft gun, the high-end one, because why not? Oh, we haven't finished considering our purchases yet, because we also have our auxiliaries to worry about. And what I recommend that you do is to just buy some of this cheap infantry and not care if it gets murdered. Because you don't get any infantry in this mission. So I actually recommend that you purchase some. Bridge engineers be a good idea? I don't see any. Nah, I don't see any rivers that would actually be an issue for us, so let's not bother with that. Okay, purchase is complete. Now, before we move on to upgrades, I would say you can. So the Spanish troops will use your prestige to heal themselves, and you can't really stop them from throwing themselves at the enemy, really. You can order them to hold position, but it confuses the AI more than anything. So, one thing that you can do, which is kind of cheesy, is you can buy, because you get full refunds on units. You don't pay any sort of, you know, you don't pay any fee for selling your units after you bought them. So what you can do is you can actually buy loads of units to spend all your money, so that there's no money left to take. And then during the mission, you can just keep buying things to make sure that there's no prestige, so that they cannot spend your prestige to reinforce. But that is a little bit risky to do, so in that you could potentially lose. Just something fun to keep in mind. Right, let's get on with upgrading. Okay, so the obvious first thing to do is to pick one of my two tanks. Whichever one they both got roughly the same experience. Or I could purchase a fresh tank. That's also a possibility. I don't know if I'm going to actually need 2 anti-aircraft guns for this mission, to be fair. I could tuck this one away for now and bring it back out later. Actually, to be fair, we actually will get a lot of... let's move this to the reserve. We will get a lot of bombers in this mission, so we really don't need all of this air support. So I am actually going to purchase a 3rd tank and make it this T-26. But not auxiliary, obviously. Okay, instead of upgrading one of my tanks, I'll bring this along as an extra unit. So I moved my most experienced tactical into storage for one map. So the other ones can gain experience and catch up a little bit. Okay, we have a hero to deploy, which is the entrenchment killer. I think that's really useful on a fighter. You can split the fighter as well using flexible command, and you can then strip entrenchment from the enemy using your fighters. Especially since you have no strat bombers, that will actually have some good utility for me here. God, I cannot today. Right, the last thing to do is to do some overstrengthening. You can get some free overstrength because some units are actually so core slot cheap that you can actually dial them up by 1 point for free. I should have actually done this on the first map, but I just wanted to get stuck in, so... A lot of these guys, you can dial them up to 11 and it's actually not an issue. Wow, this anti-tank can actually be dialed up to 12. I highly doubt artillery can be because it's core slot expensive. Yeah. Something I should have considered doing earlier. I can't wait to have a look at this gun in anti-tank mode, but the way it murdered my tanks, I'm pretty sure its stats are going to be pretty vicious. Cool, we can dial my fighters up to 11 for free. This music is so... I don't know how to describe it, but it's certainly something. Alright, that is it. We have what we have. Okay. So, there's a secret, and it's up here, which we want to get. But in order to get to it, we have to push through these mountains. So this is why I bought this infantry. And in order to support him on his adventures, we are going to bring some artillery. In fact, let's move this. Oh, it won't let me undeploy it. It will only let me disband it, which is a pain. Okay, oh well, whatever. Okay, we're gonna need an artillery down here too. And probably one in the middle somewhere. I was going to deploy it here and move the infantry up one tile. But anyway, whatever. Let's get my heavy tank up here. We'll have one down here, one down here. I won't need recon up here. I mean, we just expect to push through enemy forces here and then cut across. Shouldn't be too much of an issue. So we'll get our recon down here. Okay, I'm not even sure why I brought this anti-tank gun along, because frankly it's not going to be that useful for this part of the fight. It's it's nice to have some experience on an anti-tank gun, so that you can upgrade it into something more interesting later. But right now, it is hot garbage. Right, let's get our anti-aircraft gun, main one down here. We're going to run the fighters at the front here. Normally, I would put the tacticals at the front and the fighters at the back, and that is superior defensive-wise, but I need my fighters to have as much reach as possible. Okay, one last thing to do is to mark our plane that is our demolition expert with some camo to make sure that we know which one it is. Excuse me. Can't speak today for some reason. Let's find a good yellow colour for demolition. Alright, building site colour would be perfect. There we go, some funky yellow camo. That'll do. Looks like a hobby craft now. This is going to rename it to demo. Demo expert. So I can split that plane and use it to strafe enemies that are entrenched. Not that any of these guys are entrenched. Okay, and that is it. Deployment is complete. We do have 2 auxiliary slots left to use, but I can't think of anything I would want to do with those 2 slots. I could deploy some of this garbage recon car very cheaply. Let's do that. Why not? We can use it for the purposes of encircling. Alright, and I still have 3,000 prestige left. Let's hope the Italians don't spend it all. Of course, in the previous map, I could have been a little bit more efficient, and I could have squeezed a bit more money out, and I could have gained a little bit more in terms of captures, but, I mean, that's just pure greed at this point. So, and I'm not meticulously planning every move. Alright, so that's it. Deployment complete. For those of you who enjoy deployment, then I hope you enjoyed this. I think we're set up and ready to go. My general plan of action is I go first, then the nationalists. So I will move forward aggressively to surround and suppress, and then leave corridors open for the infantry to run in and nail these guys. That does, you know, require some trust on my part to actually trust that the Italians will run into the gaps I create and attack, but it shouldn't be too much of an issue. So that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I understand why I didn't deploy my BT7s, because I don't have enough of them. But we'll see if we can find some more, or any other better tanks. We have a long way to go in this campaign. So that's it for now. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time.